Picture this. August 15th, 1977, just days before his death. Elvis Presley stood before 60,000 screaming fans in Memphis. The anticipation was electric, the crowd was wild, and then silence. Complete, devastating silence. His state-of-the-art sound system had died. The king of rock and roll faced his worst nightmare: a dead microphone and a restless crowd. But what happened next didn't just save the show. It created one of the most legendary moments in music history, proving that sometimes our greatest failures become our most defining triumphs. The Memphis Coliseum was buzzing with an energy that only Elvis could generate. It was supposed to be a routine stop on his 1977 tour, but everyone sensed something special in the air. The fans had been waiting for hours, some camping out overnight, just to catch a glimpse of their idol. The venue's brand new sound system, touted as the most advanced in the South, was supposed to deliver crystal clear audio to every corner of the massive arena. Elvis had been dealing with personal struggles throughout 1977, but his passion for performing remained undiminished. His team had spent days perfecting the sound setup, running countless tests to ensure everything would be flawless. The sound engineers were confident, perhaps too confident. They had installed a revolutionary new digital mixing board, complete with backup systems and fail-safes that were supposed to make technical difficulties impossible. As Elvis took the stage in his iconic white jumpsuit, adorned with gold studs that caught the spotlight like stars, the crowd erupted. The opening notes of C.C. Rider began to play through the band's instruments. But when Elvis reached for his microphone to deliver his signature opening line, nothing happened. The microphone was dead. The backup microphone was dead. The entire vocal sound system had suffered a catastrophic failure. The silence was deafening. 60,000 people went from screaming ecstasy to confused murmurs in a matter of seconds. Elvis tapped the microphone, looked back at his sound engineer with a mixture of frustration and disbelief, and for a moment they felt like an eternity. Time stood still. The technical crew scrambled frantically behind the scenes, but their efforts were futile. The system was completely down, and repairs would take at least an hour if they were possible at all. Most performers would have walked off stage, apologized, and rescheduled. But Elvis wasn't most performers. Standing there in that moment of crisis, he made a decision that would define not just that evening, but his entire legacy as an entertainer who could connect with people beyond any technological barrier. Without missing more than a beat, Elvis did something that stunned his band, his crew, and most importantly, his audience. He stepped away from the microphone stand, walked to the edge of the stage, and began to sing "Love Me Tender," completely unaided by amplification. His natural voice, powerful and rich with emotion, somehow managed to reach the first few rows of the massive arena. The crowd immediately recognized what was happening. This wasn't just a performance anymore. It was an intimate conversation between Elvis and his fans. Those who could hear him began to quiet down, creating a ripple effect throughout the venue. The natural acoustics of the Memphis Coliseum, combined with the sudden reverent silence of 60,000 people, allowed Elvis's voice to carry much further than anyone thought possible. But Elvis knew this wouldn't be enough for everyone to hear. So he made an even bolder decision. He began walking down into the audience, moving through the aisles, singing directly to individual fans as he made his way through the crowd. Security was initially panicked. This wasn't planned, wasn't safe, and certainly wasn't protocol. But Elvis was determined to reach every person in that arena, even if he had to do it one section at a time. What happened next was pure magic. As Elvis moved through different sections of the arena, the crowd began to sing along with him. Those who had heard him sing the first verse were teaching the lyrics to those around them. The entire venue became a massive choir, with Elvis as the conductor, moving through the audience and leading different sections in different parts of the song. The band, initially confused by the technical failure and Elvis's unplanned response, began to adapt. They lowered their instrumental volume and followed Elvis's lead, creating a more intimate acoustic atmosphere that perfectly complemented his unplugged vocals. The drummer provided a subtle, soft rhythm, while the guitarist played gentle arpeggios. That supported rather than overpowered Elvis's natural voice. As Elvis continued his journey through the audience, something extraordinary began to happen. The rigid barrier between performer and audience completely dissolved. This was no longer a traditional concert. It had transformed into something entirely unprecedented. Elvis was literally among his people, sharing the same space, breathing the same air, and creating music together in a way that no amplified performance could ever achieve. Fans who had only dreamed of being close to Elvis suddenly found him standing right next to them, singing directly to them with an intimacy that made their hearts race. He would pause at different rows, make eye contact with individual fans, sometimes even reaching out to touch hands or accept flowers that people thrust toward him. The emotional connection was so powerful that many fans were moved to tears, not just from proximity to their idol, but from the raw vulnerability he was displaying. Elvis began incorporating other songs into his impromptu acoustic set. Can't Help Falling in Love became a massive sing-along, with his voice blending beautifully with the voices of thousands of fans. Hound Dog got a completely different treatment, slower, more soulful, more personal than it had ever been performed before. Each song took on new meaning when stripped of its electric amplification and production value. The technical crew, still working frantically to repair the sound system, began to realize that something special was happening. Rather than rushing to fix the problem, they started to document it. Photographers captured images of Elvis surrounded by fans, singing without a microphone, his face lit up with a joy and connection that hadn't been seen in years. Video cameras rolled, capturing what everyone in the arena knew was a once-in-a-lifetime moment. By the time Elvis had made his way through roughly half of the arena, the crowd had organized itself into an impromptu choir. Different sections were singing different harmonies, creating a complex, beautiful wall of sound that supported and enhanced Elvis's lead vocals. It was orchestral, it was organic, and it was absolutely magical. The failed sound system had accidentally created the most intimate large-scale performance in rock and roll history. News of Elvis's unplugged Memphis performance spread like wildfire. Within days, bootleg recordings of the evening were circulating among collectors, and within weeks, music journalists were calling it one of the most important live performances in rock and roll history. The complete audio, captured by the venue's recording system that continued working even when the public address system failed, was eventually released and became one of Elvis's most beloved live albums. But the impact went far beyond just one memorable concert. Elvis's response to the technical disaster inspired a generation of performers to think differently about the relationship between artist and audience. The incident demonstrated that genuine connection could transcend technological barriers, and that sometimes the most powerful performances happen when artists are forced to rely purely on their talent and authenticity. MTV's Unplugged series, which began in the late 1980s, drew direct inspiration from Elvis's Memphis performance. Producers specifically cited that evening as proof that stripping away electronic enhancement could reveal the true heart of an artist's music. Countless musicians have since credited the story of Elvis's sound system failure as motivation to develop stronger acoustic skills and to prioritize genuine connection with audiences over technological perfection. The performance also marked a turning point in Elvis's own career trajectory. Friends and family members later said that the evening reminded him why he fell in love with music in the first place. The pure joy and connection he experienced that night reignited his passion for performing and helped him reconnect with the raw, emotional power that had made him famous in the first place. Music historians now consider the Memphis Coliseum performance to be a perfect example of how limitations can spark creativity. The technical failure forced Elvis to innovate in real time, creating an entirely new type of concert experience that couldn't have been planned or rehearsed. It proved that the most memorable moments in entertainment often come not from flawless execution, but from authentic human response to unexpected challenges. Elvis's response to that catastrophic sound system failure proved something profound. True artistry doesn't depend on technology, equipment, or perfect conditions. It depends on the courage to connect authentically with your audience, no matter what obstacles appear in your path. Ready to discover more legendary moments that changed music history? Subscribe to our newsletter for exclusive stories about the artists who turned disasters into triumphs and redefined what it means to perform.